Let me tell you a story, and trust me, it might just shock you. I've got a surprise at the end that I can't wait to share, so let's dive in. My name's Emily, and at 35, I've always been someone with big desires. I'm not just talking about material things, I want to experience everything, the unknown, the unexplored. I've been married to Daniel for 10 years. He's the kind of husband you think you can count on, a loving partner and a good father. But what I went through last year, it made me question everything I thought I knew about love, relationships, and even my own desires. It all started like any other day. Over breakfast, Daniel casually told me that an old friend of his from Africa, someone he hadn't seen in years, was going to stay with us for a few weeks. His name was Kevin. They'd been close in college, and even though they hadn't kept in touch regularly, their friendship had always meant a lot to both of them. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was fine with the idea. But once Kevin moved in, things started to feel off. Kevin was different. He had this presence about him, this energy that seemed to fill up the whole room. Charismatic, confident, charming. He paid attention to little details, noticed things most people wouldn't. At first, I was impressed. I thought, what a lively guy Daniel has as a friend. But after a while, it became clear that something about him was unsettling in a way I couldn't explain. A few days after Kevin arrived, Daniel told me he had to go on a business trip. This wasn't unusual, he traveled often, but this time, when he left, something shifted. Kevin's behavior started to change. He became more personal, complimenting me on things like my eyes, or how genuine my smile was. At first, I dismissed it. But the compliments kept coming, and after a while, I started to wonder if there was more behind them than simple flattery. One night, Kevin and I were in the kitchen, chatting about Daniel's college years while he poured me a glass of wine. As the conversation progressed, his tone grew more personal, almost intimate. What he said next took me by surprise, and it left me unsettled. Kevin began revealing stories about Daniel that painted a different picture of him, a side of him I hadn't known. Some of it was funny, and we laughed about it, but there was this growing unease building up inside me. Then, in a quieter moment, Kevin looked me in the eyes. "Emily," he said softly, "there's something I need to share with you." I could sense that what he was about to say was important, maybe even life-changing. He leaned in a little closer, his voice serious now. "Daniel didn't just invite me here because of our friendship. He wants us to connect. Not just as friends, but in a deeper, more meaningful way. He suggested that the three of us, well, that we could spend some time together, enjoy each other's company in a way that's different." I was speechless for a moment, trying to process what he was saying. It was like my mind was scrambling for answers. Was he joking? Was this a misunderstanding? But no, the look on his face told me he was serious. He continued, "Daniel wants us to get comfortable with each other, to build a connection. He thought this might be an exciting new experience for us all." I didn't know what to say. Part of me was shocked, but another part of me was intrigued. After being married for so long, I had to admit that the idea of something new, something bold, was exciting. I finally spoke, unsure of what I was feeling. "This is definitely unusual," I said, "but it also feels like an adventure, a chance for something different." Kevin seemed relieved, as if he'd been waiting for me to respond in exactly this way. "This is entirely your choice," he reassured me. "I just wanted to offer you the space to explore this. To think freely and see where it might take you." As we talked more, the conversation became deeper, the connection between us growing. I couldn't deny the warmth between us, the chemistry that seemed to build with every word we exchanged. It was something I hadn't felt in a long time, and honestly, it was both exhilarating and terrifying. At some point, Kevin suggested we share our feelings with Daniel. "I think he should know how we're feeling, Emily. It's important for him to be part of this moment with us." So, Kevin made a video call to Daniel. When Daniel's face appeared on the screen, I felt my heart race. The excitement, the nervousness, it was all so overwhelming. Kevin spoke first, his voice calm but confident. Daniel, he said with a small smile, Emily and I have talked, and we're both open to your suggestion. We're starting to get comfortable with each other, thanks to your encouragement. We want to thank you for giving us this space. At first, Daniel looked surprised, but then his face softened. He smiled warmly. That's wonderful, he said. I'm so happy to hear that. It makes me feel good to know that you both feel comfortable. Kevin continued, explaining that, in fact, they had already taken things a step further. We've been using your bed to get more accustomed to this experience before you come home. There was a brief pause, and I couldn't read Daniel's expression for a moment. But then he smiled again. I'm so excited. I might even cut my trip short and come home sooner to join you both. I don't know why, but hearing Daniel's approval, his understanding, made everything feel more right. Kevin and I shared a moment after the call, and I felt a mixture of emotions. There was excitement, anticipation, and something else, something I couldn't fully explain. It wasn't just about physical intimacy, it was about trust, exploration, and connection on a level one had never imagined. The following days were filled with a new kind of energy. As the day of Daniel's return grew closer, the atmosphere in the house shifted. Kevin and I prepared, and when Daniel finally walked through the door, the tension dissolved. The energy was warm, open. The three of us gathered at the dinner table, and as we ate, we shared our thoughts and feelings. Daniel raised a glass of wine and smiled. This is a new beginning for all of us, he said. The evening unfolded beautifully. We talked for hours, not just about our daily lives, but about the bond we were forming. By the end of the night, I realized that this wasn't just about intimacy, it was about a connection that transcended the physical. It was emotional, spiritual even. For the next 2 weeks, Kevin stayed with us, and our bond deepened with every passing day. We laughed, we shared, we learned new things about ourselves and each other. But, as with all good things, Kevin's time with us eventually had to come to an end. He had to return to work, and as much as I felt sadness at his departure, I also knew that the experience had left its mark on me, on all of us. In the days that followed, Daniel and I reflected on the time we spent together. Kevin's influence had brought a new dimension to our marriage. We felt closer, more open with each other. The time we had shared had brought excitement and fulfillment into our lives. Though Kevin is no longer with us, his impact is still felt. Daniel and I have been talking about how to bring more of that energy into our lives. Maybe we'll meet someone else who can add to our connection. Who knows? But we're open to it. And if you're interested in sharing in this new chapter, let me know. Like this video, leave a comment, and stay tuned for what comes next. Who knows what the future holds? But thanks to Kevin, Daniel and I are stronger than ever, and we're ready to explore whatever comes our way next. Stay tuned.